Power creep has been on the minds of Magic the Gathering players lately, and I think that this card is the key to unlocking why. Pacifism came out in 1996. This is a very old card. Yes, it is very outdated, to say the least. It unlocks a key to power creep that I don't think anybody's really talking about. So there's a lot of comments on a video I made like a year ago. Apparently it just started blowing up. So we're going to go over why I think pacifism is a key to understanding power creep. On this comment section, we've got a lot of spicy stuff. This power creep is ruining Magic. There's a lot of people who think this. Yes, and that's why I'm losing interest in MTG. MTG has power creep? Laughs in Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic is not nearly as bad as Yu-Gi-Oh! Currently. I feel like it's ramped up really hard. This next comment understands where I'm at as well. The nasty power creep began in about 2019. There's always been power creep, but it was well managed until about then, and it's gone to the moon since. And I think this is just a tiny forget about it, meaningless creep compared to what has been going on for 15 years or more. What people don't understand is the jump between these two cards is not a meaningless little creep. I'm going to go through that here in just a second. A card can't be too pushed if it's unplayable in any format. Apparently, being unplayable means it can't be pushed, which I don't understand. Look at this. Why is this wild? It's still unplayable. Pushed, it's not even keeping up. It's finally almost playable. Pacifism has been garbaged here for the past 30 years. This card isn't even a big deal. This is not power creep. This Pacifism has virtually zero constructed play, and it's a trash card. Pacifism has been D-leveled draft chat for a decade now. There have been 50 cards Magic just power creep to pacifism. This is just the latest. This is good power creep, by the way, right? We've come a long way from 93 to now. This was a huge jump. But to understand why this is such a huge jump, we've got to go through the past 20 to 30 years. So we jump to 2001, right? We got Kurtar's Desire, kind of the same, little less mana, but it's got to have threshold to get the second part. In 2003, we get Arrest, which is downgraded from an uncommon to a common. Makes it so the enchanted creature can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. This is the staple from 2003 until 2023. For 20 years, Magic did not change this formula. That's why I think Arrest is like the new pacifism. All of a sudden, you shut down activated abilities for the next year, 2004, 2005, 8, 11, 13, right? All of these go through the exact same things, right? All of them do the exact same thing as Arrest. Can't attack or block, abilities can't be activated. There's nothing changes it, nothing is different about it. There's like a couple like little things here and there, or you get Luminous Bonds, which is the same cost as Arrest, but does the same as pacifism, so it's a little bit worse. And then we get Trapped in the Tower, which does the same thing, which is the first time we see from Eldraine almost push like enchanted creature without flying, so that's not kind of a downside, but it gets the Arrest text with the one less mana. Then we go through a bunch of other iterations. Nahiri's Binding is the kind of the next big one, but it's still 3 mana. Enchants of Planeswalker as well. Sigarda's Imprisonment, can't attack or block. Hold for Ransom, can't attack or block. Prison Sentence, can't attack or block. And then all of a sudden, between 2022, Prison Sentence is the next step for Arrest. It's the exact same card, except when it enters, you scry 2. It's like we're here, and we've slowly been going up, just like a little bit, like kind of changing the formula just a hair, but just with kind of like little tweaks to the formula, nothing major. But between Brothers War and All Will Be One, all of a sudden we get this massive push. This is where I'm coming from. Oh, we enchant a creature, can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. For 20 years, this was the card until you get, unless you want to use Prison Sentence, right? And then you scry 2. Cool. Between those months, between the end of 2022, start of 2023, we get Planar Disruption, which costs 1 less. It's the same mana as pacifism, but now you can enchant 3 different types of permanents instead of just 1, and it can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. We went from here to here, just in one set, just massive jump. I don't care if you don't think this is playable. This, it doesn't make sense to me when you say not playable. Everything's playable in a certain format. This might not be playable in Modern. I would never play this in Modern. I could play this in Pauper all day. I could play this in Draft all day. I could play this in a pre-release all day. By saying it's unplayable, like, you clearly don't understand what that means or what you're saying, which just kind of bugs me. Let's just pull up our All Will Be One here, where the card is from. Would you ever play Zopandrel in Modern? Is this an unplayable card? No, it's not. You can't blanket statement all of these things by saying planar disruption it's unplayable, you can't play it. Yes, you can. There are formats that want this card. Just depends on the deck. Zopandrel, you could probably not play in Modern very easily, but I'd play this in Commander all frickin' day. So you can't just blanket statement it. Same with like Tyrannix Rex. 8/8 can't be countered, trample, ward 4, haste, toxic 4. Unplayable. 100% unplayable. Why would you play that in a Modern deck? So it's completely unplayable. You see how ridiculous this sounds? The set after, they actually kind of go backwards. Now you can only enchant 2 types of things, and they can still activate their mana abilities. This was the next logical step. This is what they should have gone for, right? Nothing before for 20 years. And all of a sudden it's a massive jump. That's why I think pacifism is the key to unlocking what is power creep. You start at the common level and things are bumped up. Having things be pushed so far within one set is like, that's power creep. And then Petrify comes out, which again, this should have been the next step. Planar Disruption should have come out after Petrify. It's like Petrify is, 2 types of things. Activated abilities can't be activated, blah, 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 blah. We're taking weird steps in a way. Now let's talk about another card, Whisper of the Wilds. This is one that everybody was talking about. Whisper of the Wilds came out in 2015. Tap, it's a mana dork, it's just add a green. But if you got Ferocious, you add green. That is a great card, and so easy to do in green. Elfame Druid, right? Here's the next few sets are all basically the same with like a slightly different stipulation. Add green to do kick spells. Leafkin Druid, again, add 1 or 2 depending on what you've got. Arachi Merge Keeper, same thing. If you meet the stipulation, you add green. Intrepid Stable Master, if you meet the stipulation, you add green. You add mana, 2 mana. Then 2024, 2 months later, we get the most ridiculous thing, Fanatic of Ronus. All of a sudden we're adding 4 green mana. What? We doubled the mana for the same mana cost, and this thing has Internalize. This is where people, just like pacifism, or you're going from here to here, just boom, huge jump all of a sudden when the formula's been the same for years. That is what power creep looks like. Not like, oh, it's just kind of like do, because that's what we had for 20 years, is a very slight incline. Because look, Canopy Tactician came out in Kaldheim, you had green, but it costs twice as much, and it's like it's great, but it's not Fanatic of Ronus great. And I think to understand why, here I'll pull up our 30 years of Magic products. 1993 to 2022, it doesn't have these current years. I'll get to that in a second. I've mapped those out. That's all the set. Look how many sets there are in 22 versus 93. Just a massive amount of sets. Let's turn off the supplementary sets. There's all our, main sets, right? So this is where we're gonna see all the stuff that comes through. But let's get rid of the core sets and remastered sets, because those are reprints, and usually they didn't have anything new. M19, 20, and 21 did have new cards. Let's get rid of those though. Between 1993 and 2019, there were 97 sets that came before Eldraine. And Eldraine, I think, is where power creep really busted through. So, and that's not to say Eldraine's the only busted set. 18 sets are not on this chart. That's kind of covering our bases. And then 34 sets come after Throne of Eldraine, which means there are 132 total box sets. I'm talking Modern, I'm talking Conspiracy, Battle Bond, Doctor Who, Lord of the Rings. I'm counting all of those because those came in it's like a box set. Because of that, 25% of all sets came after Throne of Eldraine. A quarter of the sets of Magic came out in the last 6 years. So we've got this 30-year history, and so you've got this really long section and then a really tight, compact section, exponentially shooting up the power within these sets to keep selling sets. And all of a sudden you're going from this nice straight up curve to swoop, you just curve straight up and you just kind of screw things up. So basically it looks like this, right? So we've got this kind of easy thing up. So we got a spike here that kind of comes down, then a spike here, and then comes down. It's a huge spike here, a little bit of a spike here, and then all of a sudden you're off to the races and you're going up so high. That condensed amount of time really accentuates the power creep in Magic, because we're just being hammered with products constantly, and especially with like Commander. First Commander product comes out in right in here. Boop. First Commander product comes out, and then we start getting more Commander products once a year, and all of a sudden it's just like Commander products out the wazoo. So Commander is just super pushed, and it's just every set now. And so Commander since 2013 has just gone straight up through the roof, which is kind of scary. This is where we're seeing all this power creep and power jump. Just talk to those Yu-Gi-Oh players. Okay, last little anecdote. Sorry, I'm just ranting at this point, but I'm very passionate about this. All right, we got Ice Age, and you know, we've got some cards that are just like whatever. These are not great cards. And then we jump forward 5 years, the crystal set, whatever, I can't remember. It's got all these things where it's just like troublesome spirit, right? At the end of your turn, tap all lands you control. This is a rare, a 3/4 for 4 flying, right? We've got these terrible creatures, and of course this, I just said this was one of the worst sets, but Rhystic Study came from this set too, so it's weird imbalance. And then we jump another 5 years to first Ravnica set. You know, you still see Birds of Paradise, you still see Cloudstone Curio, Chord of Calling, right? These are all very playable cards. Doubling Season could come out today as a mythic. Like these were great cards. So it's just like these little tiny spikes within sets, and then it's just like little spike, little spike, little spike, little spike, and then jump 5 years again. Look, we got Emrakul from the first Eldrazi set. We got Kozilek from the first Eldrazi. Nirkana Revenant is good. Ulamog, right? Vengevine. Got all these little jumps and pushes, so it's really hard to quantify where power creep is coming from. That's why I defaulted to the commons like Pacifism and Arrest and all of these cards, because these really help us to understand. Because if I just took mythic rares, which are the best cards, you get Emrakul from, you know, 2010, this is still banned in Commander. You can't justify or blanket statement mythic rares versus commons, because obviously there's differences in these cards, and a lot of these mythics are still very playable today. You know, this is jumping 5 years forward to get another Zendikar set. So the Zendikar sets are kind of like bookmarks almost at this point. Like Oblivion Sower, we got the Angry Jellybean, Ulamog, Voidwinnower. These are all fantastic cards. This is why I don't think you can take the playable cards to deal with power creep. Then we go to the latest Zendikar sets 5 years after Battle for Zendikar, and we got Forsaken Monument. You could probably see that next to the Emrakul from, you know, 2 Zendikar sets ago. See, that's where I'm saying. It's like some of these is like, whoa, and then some of these are like, oh, this is still just as good, or whatever. I don't know. I hope you guys see where I'm going with this. I'm just kind of baffled at why like people are you're just blanket statementing that like, oh, these are terrible. These aren't playable, so therefore it's crap and it's not power crept, even though it is. I just want to make a deck that uses this card and like just pisses people off. I'm like, I could still use this. This has been played against me. I've used this in draft. I've seen this used in Commander, and it's just bugged me. Because it's like, haha, and you're like, ugh, why? And then it shuts you down somehow, you know? Anyway, sorry about my rant. That is what I think. And I'm sorry I don't have a thing scripted out, but Arcane Fortress deck boxes, link in the description. Got very pretty art. You know, pick them up. Affiliate link. I'm sorry, Arcane Fortress. It's been a rough go of things here in the last month, so I'm sorry I'm not getting the stuff I need to done. Same with my Patreon subscribers. I'm so sorry. I have been behind. Again, a lot going on in life. If you know, you know. If you want to ask, you can ask in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for watching me rant. Probably gotten lower on the screen. I'm slouching. I'll see you guys next week for your weekly dose of magic.